Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. My name is Ayesha, and I'm really excited to be moderating this important conversation. So, a little about me. I am a storyteller and a youth advocate, and my work often lives at the intersection of community, media, and also justice. So over the years, I've worked in radio, podcasting, and also youth development, always with the focus on amplifying young voices and making complex issues feel accessible and human. So to those of you who listen to podcasts, particularly African podcasts, you might be familiar with Radio Workshop. So with the support of Radio Workshop, we have produced a 3-part series called I Will Not Grow Old Here, sharing the story of one's life and looking at youth unemployment. So you can find Radio Workshop on all streaming platforms, and for all the NTM users, you are lucky because you can listen to all our stories for free using the Ayoba app. So this, it's a powerful series that we as young people can shape the community and how we can stay when things get tough. So it's easy to feel like we are on our own, but there is so much power in doing community together. And I am happy to announce that Radio Workshop is joining hands with Youth Capital for this exciting campaign. As youth reporters, we moderate the community talks, but also run the meetups in our community, bringing people together and building power together through conversation, connection, and also action. So there are 4 actions, which is vote, talk, meet up, and upload. So as name mentioned, community is a verb. It's like a Youth Capital's new campaign that's all about unpacking what it means to build and belong to a community, especially in a country where youth unemployment is such a big challenge. And this is not only a conversation, it's a movement, making community, it's not just something that we talk about, but something that we can do. So in our very first session, we have explored the question, what is community? We spoke about how community isn't just where you live or who you know, but the shared value, the connection, and also the collective responsibility that holds us together. So we have reflected on how communities can be built or rebuilt, to support young people, to fuel advocacy, and also to help shape, a better future for all of us. So today we continue that conversation by zooming in on the storyline, because community doesn't exist, without the stories that we tell, the stories that we carry, and the voices that we center. If the first session was about understanding what community is, then this one is about understanding who gets to speak, whose voice are heard, and how young people can reclaim, their narrative. And we are asking, how can young people go from being spoken about and for to speaking for themselves and being heard? And how do we take control of our own storyline? So we asked you to vote for these topics. You spoke and we're listening. We've got 3 powerful voices joining us today, each speaking to different but deeply connected parts of the storyline. And first up, we have Tšeliso Monaheng, who will be helping us relook at Amapiano and soft life aspiration. And then you'll hear from the woman in tech, Lisa Adams from Citizen Code, who will be helping us think through AI and young people's future. And lastly, we have Refilwe Chiloane from Sunshine Cinema, who will share on community-based networks and why these structures might be the true backbone of work and across the continent. So each speaker has 8 minutes and 5 slides. And with that in mind, we are really, really excited to dive into today's conversation. And we have a powerful lineup of voices to guide us. So let's begin. As always, please So before we begin, sorry, as always, we have the chat box, so you can share your reflection, your question, and the storyline that you want to share, that you want to amplify. So let's get right into it. And then first we have Tšeliso. So Tšeliso, over to you.
Hey, Tšeliso, sorry you're mute.
Sorry about that. I was saying, thanks, Ayesha, for such a beautiful introduction and just general contextualization about what you guys at what you do, and also what the guys at Youth Capital do. I'm really grateful to be here. Can I share my screen? Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Get into it. There we go. Is it sharing? No?
No, Tšeliso, we don't see any screen.
Okay. Let me try that again. And now?
Yes, you can see your screen with the screen thing on top, but we can see the presentation.
So you guys can see everything.
We can see your whole desktop.
Ah, that's crazy. You see how messy it is. Cool. So, let's get into it then. So like I'm gonna be just like addressing some things in this presentation. I'm gonna be talking about where Amapiano comes from, what does soft life really mean, who tells the story of Amapiano, and also looking at whether Amapiano is a new archive. And just as a way of, I guess, getting us into the whole discussion, I would like to just show you guys a video that I scripted for a publication that I kind of work for, which kind of gives, I guess, a general overview of what piano is, where piano come from, why piano is where it is today. Yeah.
Do you remember the very first
Can we hear? Can you guys hear the audio?
Yes,
we
Yes,
can.
Tšeliso, we can hear it.
Cool.
Log from the smooth piano chords, that track that made you stop and say, wait, what is this sound? If you're not South African or live in South Africa, chances are you first heard Amapiano during the 2020 COVID-19 lockdown. What a time. The world stood still, but Amapiano, it found new ways to move. It gave people a reason to dance in a time of despair. That period became the genre's unexpected launchpad, propelling it far beyond its home soil. With people confined to their homes, streaming numbers skyrocketed. I mean, Spotify's Amapiano Grooves playlist alone hit over 100 million streams during the pandemic. What had been a regional movement suddenly had the world's undivided attention. But let's rewind. Before the world caught on, Amapiano had already been taking shape in the early 2010s. Acts like MFR Souls were laying the foundation for what would become a globally recognized sound, combining elements of deep house, jazz, and kwaito into something distinctly new. The 2 years leading up to the lockdown were especially crucial. The rise of Scorpion Kings, made up of DJs Mapurisa and Kabza the Small, set the stage for Amapiano's dominance, while anthems like Labantwana Ama Uba and Shesha flooded South African streets, taxis, and club scenes. Something Soweto's Ispiti Piti gave us a masterclass on how to sing on top of Amapiano instrumentals. When 2020 came, Amapiano was ready. The world was indoors, and Amapiano was the perfect companion. Major league DJs launched their Balcony Mix series on YouTube, turning the genre into a live experience accessible from anywhere. South African television networks joined in with the lockdown house party, amplifying the sound across audiences at home. Suddenly, Amapiano wasn't just South Africa's secret. It had made its way to the world, and everyone loved it. And we have to talk about the women who drove and are still driving this genre forward. Before Tyler's meteoric rise, Zimbabwean-born Shasha was paving the way with hits alongside the Scorpion Kids. Artists like Lady Do, Buhle, Kamo Mpela, and Pavi Cooper showcased the power of vocalists and dancers in elevating the genre's appeal. Today, Z, Malo, Basi, Mahu, and K-Mat represent the new wave of voices pushing the sound forward. And while Tyler may not be the face of Amapiano, her undeniable success and alignment with the genre, as well as with the movement, has helped introduce it to an even broader audience. And Amapiano, it's still showing no signs of slowing down. It's still evolving. It's fusing with other genres. There's Nyaso piano in Malawi, Bongo piano in Tanzania, and Afro piano across West Africa. Agencies like Piano People, festivals like Afro Future. Long story short, Amapiano is a movement. The music isn't just a passing trend. It's a movement that continues to define the times we live in. The question is, are you ready for what's next?
Yeah, well, so that's that. And I think that there's a lot of stuff to pick, but something that kind of for me is recurring is how the artists that we listen to now have this very like aspirational thing, like kind of I need to make better for myself and I guess for my people, which is something that keeps coming up a lot when I talk to these guys, like to the piano guys, you know what I mean? It's there in the way that the music is produced. So it's like a very fast food product type nature. But also it's like this awareness that there's a way that South Africans consume music and hear the music. So like you can't say too many words on a song, you have to keep it minimal, you know what I mean? And just the topics that a lot of them explore, I guess it's not one thing necessarily. There's a lot of like spirituality as well, but also there's a lot of awareness that we need to get out of the current situation that we're in, be it a guy living in the hood that needs to, you know, better his own situation. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I guess soft life as it pertains to Amapiano is really just being able to make it out of your current situation to be successful, whatever success means. We can argue or like discuss all day about the physical manifestations of that success, the bling culture that's very much aligned to, I guess, hip hop. But yeah, at the end of the day, these guys are making something out of themselves. And I thought like just to give like a little context into this whole like how I guess living in the hood kind of influences the sound, but also influences how people react to their condition in a sense of kind of being very committed to their music making, being very committed to go into the studio. There's a book by author called Ntato Mokgatla, who's an artist called Spook Matambo. And I'd like to read like a few lines from the opening part, which is about this guy called TC, who's a producer in the hood. And it says that the Kasi consumes quickly, never holding on to anything too long. This perpetual state of flux isn't just about music or fashion. It's deeper, it's more fundamental, and it's about survival. So I think that like just that part like just contextualizes that stuff. And like I just like to share like a clip that I filmed in 2021, just when like the genre was like, you know, on its way up. Just kind of like I guess to give an insight into how people vibe at piano parties. Yeah, well, so that's just like the vibe, you know what I mean? The carefree nature of the music that, you know. And then like just really what I'm interested in, I think I'm running out of time now. How much do I have? Can I continue? Ayesha? I can't hear you.
Ayesha, you're mute.
Sorry, this tech thing, but I'll get used to it. You have 2 more minutes and then you can wrap it up.
So I'm interested in, thank you, Ayesha. I'm interested in like talking about who tells the story of Amapiano. You know, like in an age where the arts journalism, I guess, ecosystem is disintegrating, there's been a lot of like shift towards like podcast as a form of archiving, and I don't really like have a problem with that, but I have a problem with that there isn't much being written necessarily in terms of like investigative pieces. A lot of what has been written is really just regurgitating what artists kind of post on their social pages or like what PR firms send out, and that's not really like, you know, it doesn't portend well for something that needs to like, that I guess should be, you know, living beyond the now, you know, something that should be growing. So I think like the work of documenting up Amapiano even lies in like the comments on YouTube when you check a song. Maybe a song from like 5 years ago, someone sharing like where they were in that. There's a memory attached to that as well. And I think we should also like think about those platforms where people kind of share experiences as other avenues in which the music is being documented. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
And thank you, Tšeliso. And you know, guys, from what I've heard is that Amapiano always finds its way. I mean, we had COVID, but Amapiano got its way. And, you know, now we are vibing to the music. And also, it's not all about music and fashion. It's all about, you know, the inspiration of that. So thank you so much, Tšeliso. And next, we'll hear from Lisa, who's inviting us to think, you know, about the role and young people. So over to you, Lisa.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm just trying to share my screen quickly. Ayesha, could you confirm for me that you can see my screen? It should say AI and youth.
Yes, I can see it. Thank you.
Great stuff. Cool. Hi, everyone. Like Ayesha said, I'm Lisa Adams. I'm a South African technologist, a product strategist, and the founder of Citizen Code. Citizen Code is a tech for impact company. We build ethical, accessible digital tools across Africa and Asia. And for the past 15 years, I've worked at the intersection of social justice, human-centered design, and technology, and specifically with young people navigating their complex realities like healthcare, education, gender-based violence, and identity in a digital world. So for over a decade, I've also been a strategic technology partner and director to Girl Effect, who was founded by Nike. And together we've co-created some of the earliest and most innovative digital interventions for adolescent girls and underserved youth. This is a bit of a splash of some of the things I've done along my journey. Everything from turning printed community newspapers into mobile storytelling platforms to launching USSD lines that connect young people to safe, vetted health services. We've produced TV dramas in Ethiopia and South Africa about sex, relationships, and everyday survival. And up until a few years ago, we started building out some of the first AI-powered chatbots that was really rooted in like an Ask Auntie model, where young people could privately ask questions that they're too scared to say out loud. So I've been very interested for most of my career in designing safety first systems and triaging users who are typically in danger to getting them real world help and not just digital information. But for this evening, I'm not just here as a technologist, I'm also here as someone who builds tools that are informed by real lives, my own lived trauma, and the creative strength of African youth. I feel very strongly that if we don't build technology from our context, it will be erased. And artificial intelligence right now is doing exactly that unless we intervene. So let me get started with a interesting truth I heard about or heard at the National Youth Debate in Parliament last month. And it said that young people are tired of being consulted after the fact. We are not here to be inspired, we are here to be included. So this evening isn't about selling artificial intelligence as a shiny tool. I really like to dig into and ask the difficult questions about power, possibility, and responsibility. Because the truth is that artificial intelligence is not neutral and it's not a future tense subject, it's already here. And AI is shaping what we see, what we learn, what we believe, and increasingly what we get access to. So for this evening, I'd like to walk you through what artificial intelligence is, how it works, why ethics matter, and where African youth fit in as users, creators, and unfortunately, if nothing changes, casualties. So please stick with me. I've got to do this in a very short amount of time. So let's be clear. Artificial intelligence is not magic. It's not a robot with some human brain. It's just software that's trained on a massive amount of data to do things like read, write, see, speak, recommend, predict, and create. And there are two broad types that we need to understand. One is predictive AI, and the other is generative AI. So predictive AI sees patterns in data and then it makes predictions. So you can think of how TikTok curates your feed or how Netflix recommends shows. It also powers more serious tools like job filtering systems, financial risk tools, automated decision-making in healthcare systems, whereas generative AI is the one that creates things. It can write essays, generate art, make music, probably terrible Amapiano. We should see what it does, or even create videos. So that's a tool like ChatGPT, for example. But there's an issue, a big issue. Artificial intelligence doesn't think, right? It just imitates things. It learns from past data, and if the data excludes or misrepresents us, then so will the artificial intelligence. And if it's trained on data from the global north, from white, wealthy, English-speaking communities, I told you I wasn't going to hold back, it won't know what to do with the realities of a township or a rural school, a disabled young person, or a mother navigating gender-based violence in silence. So it begs the question of where do young people fit in? I looked at this from two angles, one being the users and one being creators. So young people in South Africa and across the continent use AI every day on phones, in chat apps, in school assignments. I'm sure you're all chat GPTing away. But most people or young people don't know that what they're using is actually artificial intelligence. And even fewer know how it works. Even us as technologists, we have to continuously learn all the time to keep up at the speed at which it changes. So we're in the system, but we're not in the room where it's being built. And for me, this is a serious problem to think about. And especially when we've got a 59.2% of youth under the age of 25 in South Africa currently unemployed. And most of the jobs affected by automation or AI tooling are entry-level ones. When I think about creators, there's a very tricky subject because youth are creating the internet every day through your stories, your videos, your slang, your art, humor, and the youth are the culture drivers. But when artificial intelligence systems scrape that creativity to train models, where's the credit, where's the consent, and where's the compensation? So we're feeding the system, but we're not benefiting from it. So I am very challenged at the moment with thinking about how we are shaping the global culture, but we are also getting erased in the process. So the risks. If artificial intelligence tools continue to be built and deployed without the youth, especially African youth, there are a couple of examples of things that worry me. I think we may risk being subjected to decisions made by systems that don't understand our actual realities. We'll face job loss, profiling, misinformation, or exclusion, and very often just becoming invisible in systems. I fear that we'll be passive users of systems that are shaping everything around us. And during the national youth debate, one person said that we don't need apps that talk about change. We need systems that let us shape change. And I deeply agree with that. So let's talk about something that's happening very quietly, but with enormous impact, which is digital colonialism. What this is defined as is when the old logic of colonialism, things like extraction, control, and exclusion, is rebranded in a digital form. So it's not about invading land anymore in most of the world, I'd say, but it's about taking data, ideas, and culture and turning it into profit elsewhere. So we have to ask ourselves how digital colonialism shows up. The first thing is data extraction without consent. African users generate huge volumes of data, voice notes, searches, photos, posts, and that data trains global AI models, but we rarely asked, acknowledged, or compensated. Tools don't understand us. So most AI systems, as we know, are trained on English or Western data. What happens when a school system uses an AI that doesn't understand your accent, your language, or your home life? Dependency without infrastructure. Very worrisome as a technologist. We don't host many of the tools. We don't write the rules. And when things go wrong, we have to wait for someone else to go and fix it. So we're the users, but we're not the owners. And that's a dangerous place to be in. So without fear-mongering you around AI, why does all this stuff matter? Currently, we're living through a defining moment where artificial intelligence systems are being adopted in literally every sector: health, education, media, governance. But as African youth, despite being the majority, we are not meaningfully represented in dataset design, policy decisions, AI governance boards, product development teams. And the risk of that is that the decisions that are made today shape decades of digital inequality in the future. And I don't think that we are behind necessarily. I just think that we are left out by design. And if we don't build or govern and own these tools, we'll just be stuck continuously adopting systems that were never made for us. So that doesn't mean that we need to reject AI. We're very far from that. I think it means, to me at least, that we need to make it work for us responsibly, locally, and equitably. Ethics, a lot of the time, for technologists, sounds like a soft issue. quote unquote soft issue. But in artificial intelligence, ethics really determine whether you are seen clearly, treated fairly, or left behind. Some examples of that is like a job screening tool that flags your name because your name is unfamiliar and you don't actually get shortlisted. A mental health chatbot that gives bad advice because it wasn't trained on your kind of trauma. Or the more popular example is facial recognition systems that misidentify Black faces more often than white ones. So without ethics, artificial intelligence is not innovative, and it's essentially dangerous. And young people are often the first to be impacted by this. So what do the youth need to know? And what do you need to do? Like I said, this is not about scaring anyone. It's about showing you your role. You don't all need to be coders, but you do need to understand the systems that are shaping your life. And so what can the youth do with this, right? For me, it's number one, be curious. Like always ask, how does this tool work? Who trained it? What data is it learning from? Number two is learn to challenge everything. AI systems can definitely be wrong. Question them, critique them, report harm, actually use those functions. And use your voice. We need to push for inclusion in AI design and speak to your local tech partners. Use your lived experience as valid data. And lastly, I think we definitely need to co-create the future. Whether you're a designer, a writer, a linguist, an activist, a DJ, you have a place in the future of AI. So don't just be users, be testers, be a critic, and co-create. So let me end where I began. Young people are not voiceless. We are just unheard. We are not unskilled. We are under-resourced. We are not behind. We are being shut out of the process. So if we're not in the room when artificial intelligence is being built, we will be in the statistics when it fails. So my message this evening is pretty simple. If you're a policymaker, build inclusive frameworks. If you're a funder, support local capacity. If you're a technologist, ask who your tools leave behind. And if you're a young person, stay loud, stay curious, and stay in the conversation. Artificial intelligence, like I said, it's not the future, it's now. And we have every right to shape it, question it, and demand more from it. And this was a big sort of mantra that came out of the national youth debate. Nothing about us without us. Not in policy, not in platforms, and not in the future. Thank you, Ayesha.
Thanks a lot, Lisa. I'm glad that we had this conversation today because, to be quite honest, I thought AI was some kind of magic or it's a robot. I'm going to find out today that it's a software. And please don't forget that, young people, stay loud, just like me, you know. And please keep those comments coming on the chat box. I see some questions there. Please keep them coming. And now to round off the speaker section, we have Refilwe, who's bringing into a vital perspective on storytelling and activism. Over to you, Refilwe.
Can everyone? Hello, you guys hear me? Okay, I can't see you.
I'm sorry, Refilwe. You are lagging. We can't hear you properly. On the comment section below, they are saying maybe try to turn off your camera.
Ayesha, I think Refilwe is frozen. May have lost connection.
I can see that Refilwe is having problems. So please don't forget to keep those comments coming, as we heard from Mr. Tšeliso and Ms. Lisa Adams. I think we should just give Refilwe 2 more minutes to try and reconnect, and if not, then we will continue. I can see that Ms. Refilwe is back, so you are more than welcome to start with your presentation.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I'm going to try share again. Oh no. Okay, I think we're on now.
Yes, we can see, ma'am.
Alrighty. Sorry about that, everyone. I hope you enjoy my presentation today. I'd like to thank the Youth Capital for giving me the opportunity to express my thoughts on storytelling and activism. My name is Refilwe Chiloane, and I'm a Sunshine Cinema Impact Facilitator and Coordinator. When I got this question, I had to define what storytelling means to me. The way storytelling came into my life was through a sandbox. Now, what is a sandbox? The way I see it, it's not just access to films or a mini cinema setup. It's a box that carries soul, stories, and the power to change. For me, film has always been a catalyst for activism. So, how can storytelling be a tool that we can use for advocacy, civic action, and building power? I'm going to take you through 4 stages that will lead us to a final clip that speaks directly to how storytelling can be used as a tool. First up, we have connection. The power of storytelling lies in its ability to connect us all on a human level. We all relate to stories, whether we hear them or we watch them. We see reflections of ourselves in characters and situations, and through that, we build emotional connections. Number 2, community. Once a connection is made, a community is formed. When people face similar challenges, they begin to identify with each other and build bonds. And with larger communities, voices become louder. With larger communities. That's why numbers matter. In my case, I get to analyze data from community conversations in order to understand what issues people are resonating with. What are the people on the ground saying? What are the stories that are being told? That helps us internally to identify shared struggles and to strengthen collective voices on the ground. Number 3 is emotion. When people feel something, they're more likely to act. The emotions evoked through storytelling, be it sadness, joy, anger, or hope, create a sense of urgency and empathy. We've seen audience members moved to tears or inspired to speak up, and that emotion often fuels civic action. And our last point being simplification. Storytelling breaks down complex ideas and helps people to make sense of global or highly politicized issues. Through visuals and sounds, stories allow communities to relate those issues back to their lived experiences. And in our screenings, we've seen people become more confident to engage with topics like climate change, gender-based violence, and other social inequalities, because the stories made those topics more understandable and relatable. And this is how platforms of activism are created. This is how power is built in communities, by giving a voice to those who are often silenced or left out of the conversations. We use storytelling as a tool for advocacy and civic action. And to take you through my last point, from empowerment to change. Storytelling is access to information, and information is power, but power means nothing without community. Advocacy is how we use the information to spark action and ignite civic engagement and build collective power from the ground. And at Sunshine Cinema, we currently have an alumni network of over 58 active impact facilitators who continue to use the Sandbox and films to change the narratives and promote active citizenship in their communities. The story below is a fellow impact facilitator who has taken it upon herself to become a climate justice activist. I hope you enjoy it.
Sorry, Miss Refilwe, I can't hear the video.
Sorry.
We can't hear the video, so can you try to maybe increase the volume of the video or something?
Oh, okay. Let me try it again. Oh, you still can't hear it. Okay, I'm gonna try just linking it straight from YouTube, if you don't mind. Stop sharing. Can you now?
No.
Oh my God. I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure with the volume and everything. When I tested it out, it was working perfectly. So I'm really not sure how the audience members. Or can I put the link? Can we put the link somewhere on the streaming live so that they can watch it?
Yes, that would be nice. You can share the
Okay.
link.
Okay, I'll share the link. Sorry about that, everyone.
Sorry, let me try to do it for you.
Okay.
I think I can. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear? Did you hear that?
No.
No.
The food on the table. If we don't take
Yes.
the environment out, lesser rain means lesser crops. People have to use the money that they don't have to get their stomach fed and put the food on the table. If we don't take care of our environment, our climate, we will lose this nature. Some of the factors that I've noticed in my community concerning climate change is how our crops are now little. Sometimes some of the families go for days without water because river waters are dry, and then some can't really practice their own agricultural practices in their backyard because of lack of water. Gathering people through solar cinema has become that one tool that drives awareness, and such conversations that we hold and the type of films that we screen for them, they show real impacts of climate change, and it really motivates people to actually take action. I go around, especially rural communities, showcasing free film screenings, documentaries to bring people together. We're building social cohesion through films, and I love it so much because it just connects me to quite a lot of organizations, civil society, communities at large, and we get to speak about issues that we were facing. This film e bolela ka food security, le bone di fish la ne di je di jang. Ya fetsa ya bolela ka environmental protection. Tshwanetse re dule re protecta mo re dulang. Akere
Gaoso re jetse mafelo a doto gore re tle re kgone go survive ka jone le le ga dijo di fedile re tle kgone re ile go ja jone.
Re a gola re šiela bana ba lefatshe la mohuta mang re ba šiela naga ya mohuta mang.
I am part of a national network of impact facilitators. We are called the Spark Impact Ambassadors and are trained by Sunshine Cinema to use cinema as a tool for community impact. The biggest impact that has been with Sunshine Cinema in my community is having people to speak up. As a facilitator myself, I love focusing and also revisiting the places that I've been to. I always tell them, I'm going to come back. When I come back, there must be some difference. What inspired me to actually take this route of defending climate is because my parents were subsistence and commercial farmers. My late dad is one person that would not allow for us to litter in his garden or at the farmlands as well. And he's one person that would always advocate for organic manure because he wants to preserve the soil. Mmereko re joisa a o dirang o botlhokwa because ke legacy ya family. O tšea di footsteps tša papa rena. And papa mo a leng gona, he will be proud of se a se dirang because ke se a se rata. And le ena o ithutile from papa. The support that I've been getting from my family, it's very overwhelming. Sometimes when accolades, recognitions reach out, I just wish that my dad was here. Climate change is a social justice issue, and it requires all of us to take action. I'm looking forward to continuing this route, this journey, because it's the only one I know.
Thank you so much, Refilwe. I am sure that you are done right now. And as we've heard that Ms. Refilwe, they talk about issues like gender-based violence and also climate change. And this, create a platform for activism. So what I'm hearing through all this, there is a powerful tension, between action and patience, discomfort and staying, individual work and collective care. So here's my question to you. Like, what stories are you sharing and what stories are being told about you? And how are you showing up in your space? And what kind of community are you building to help hold you there? So before we wrap up, a reminder that this conversation doesn't end here. We've asked you to keep those questions coming, and there are a lot of questions, and I hope we cover them in time. So the first question is from Wonga Doza Mponga. He or she says, I feel like there's more that we are exposed to, the more human involvement there should be. So if we could really balance that, allow for it to simplify certain things for us, but not halt how dynamic and extensive our minds can be. It has to be, the complement and enhance human ability than shun it off. This, it was a comment for Miss Lisa. And then we have Baby Obutle. He or she saying, I feel like we have, fed AI systems so much data that they are now flagging regular human writing as AI generated. What does this say about the future of critical thinking for young people and creativity in education? And how can we ensure that AI is used in a way that enhances rather than undermines and dilutes human insight and thinking? Can we even do that? This is a question for Miss Lisa.
I really love that question very much. It's so important. And I think what's happening is that it shows that artificial intelligence is starting to define what is normal versus what is credible, right? In terms of writing. And that's a big problem, especially for young people who are still developing their voice. So if things like human writing gets flagged as AI, we risk losing authenticity, cultural nuance, and critical thinking, all of those things that make us human. I don't know if the solution is to reject AI, but that we should just use it more consciously. And I think as young people, we need to remember that how we use AI should be as a thinking partner, not as a replacement for the things that makes us, like not flattening our originality. And I guess like pushing back on the systems that sort of like punish diverse expressions, and making sure that AI doesn't erase it. I think that was quite an intense question, but I hope I covered some of it.
Thank you so much, Miss Lisa. And now we are moving to the next question from Koketso Ramanyai. Yes, he or she is saying, so is AI only exposed to the African youth since probably other continents are they investors? This is for Lisa.
You guys are giving me the tough questions today. So I don't think African youth are just the consumers of AI. I think we should recognize all of the work through the researchers, the tech innovators, the people who are putting African languages on the map in the NLP process. There are really brilliant people doing a lot from the continent. But I think that we need to recognize that globally, systems of funding, infrastructure, and even visibility still mostly position the global north as the investors, and that's the imbalance that we have. So the work is happening here, and the capacity exists here with us. But what we need is more recognition, resourcing, like I was saying, and platforms to center African youth as co-creators and not just as recipients.
Okay, thank you so much. And then we have another question from Tšeliso Monaheng, and this is directed to Mr. Tšeliso. She is saying, I'm curious, what role do you think social media plays in shaping these soft life aspirations?
Thank you for that question. Well, what's the name of the person who asked the question?
It's Tšeliso Monaheng.
Tšeliso, thank you so much for that question. I think social media is like such a huge role player. Like, like those things that I was like, when I was talking about who's archiving, who is telling the story of Amapiano, a lot of like what we see on these aggregator platforms are like aspirational videos from TikTok, from Instagram, that kind of, I guess, portray a life. I'm not going to say whether it's a good or a bad life or, what I mean, but it's a life nonetheless that is, yeah. So yeah, they do play it, that social media does play a very big role. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Please keep those questions coming. And we have another question from Refilwe. It's saying, if AI can think for us, what happens to our ability to think for ourselves? And this is directed to Ms. Lisa.
Sorry, Ayesha, could you repeat that question?
Okay, no problem. This is from Refilwe. He or she is saying, if AI can think for us, what happens to our ability to think for ourselves?
Well, I think we mustn't forget that AI is just a bunch of patterns and data at the end of the day. Like I said earlier, once you start to see that and frame it as it's not doing independent thinking, it's just the replication of the data that it's being fed. Like, we will maintain our unique abilities as humans. And again, I think we need to position AI as a tool that helps and enhances our thinking, but it shouldn't replace it.
Thank you so much. And then we have a question for Ms. Refilwe. It says, how do stories shape what we believe about people who are different from us? This is from Tšeliso.
Hi, Tšeliso. Films have played a huge role in shaping narratives, or I would say breaking down barriers when it comes to concepts like people who are different to us, people living with disabilities. It's normally a lack of information from people that makes them make up this idea of how people different to them live. But a sandbox, or I would say forms in our catalog, have been so well at breaking down those barriers. Also, our trained facilitators we have trained them so well to know how to break down those barriers through conversation. It's all about imparting the right knowledge on people.
Thank you so much, Ms. Refilwe. I'm sure you guys are aware of time. So we are inviting you to take, what sparks today and host your own reflection meeting, a space with your friends, your peers, or community to unpack and build, on these themes. And we're going to be sharing a toolkit and more information right after this session. So thank you again to our speakers, Tšeliso, Lisa, and Refilwe, and to all of you for showing up, sharing, and holding space with us. So here's where we leave you, not with an ending, but with a challenge. You've heard from powerful voices today, but the most important voice is yours. We are no longer waiting to be spoken for. We are not just statistics. We are storytellers, and our stories doesn't end here. So from this digital space, we're passing the mic all the way into communities across South Africa, in community halls, the library, classrooms, and youth hubs, and also young people, who will be gathering to continue this conversation. So what now? We meet, we talk, we create, we challenge, and together we make something we can hold, read, share, and say this is ours. So join your local community facilitator, join the movement, and write your paper in the story of change, because community is a verb and we are just getting started. Let's keep building together in real life, in reflection, and in the community. Take care and see you at the next meetup. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.